All right, Shalom. Shalom, first and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honors unto Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles, to the elder bishops of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the 144,000. To all you brothers and sisters that believe. To the rest of the hopeful elect out there, Shalom to you. This is the brother, the priest, Zion from GMS Atlanta. Back with another edifying video. And this will be a update to the digital ID, the coming MOTB, and this image, this fulfillment of the image of the beast that is forming. Starting with the image being the revival of the Roman Empire, but it is now taking a digital form, as in the past, as in when ancient Rome ruled over the nations at that time. America and Europe is setting up this digital ID system to rule over the world as well, with the power lying in the hands of the wicked elite that rule this world behind the scenes. So it says, this is the first update. So it says, UK to reverse course on mandatory use of national digital ID for right to work checks. So a few months back, the Prime Minister of UK, Keir Starmer, said that it would be a requirement to have digital ID to work. So it looks like they're scaling back, because they got a lot of pushback behind that, and ultimately, what will be mandatory at the end of the day will be the biometric microchip implant, which is the MOTB, all right, which is the mark of the beast, by the way. All right, these other Israelite groups that are saying that it's something else, they don't have the true insight, or as I've been saying lately, the true vision into the future through these prophecies to understand what's coming, lest the Most High open their eyes. So let's see what it says here. It says, people in the UK are still getting a national digital ID in 2029, but it will not be mandatory for right to work checks, with other options for identity verification remaining legal. Government sources told both the Times and Politics Home that the digital identity project remains ongoing, but its required use to prove eligibility for employment, a measure proposed to reduce illegal immigration, will be scrapped. The about face by Prime Minister PM Keir Starmer, right? I just mentioned that. Government marks the end of a chapter, at least in the push for a government-developed and issued digital identity. And so this is a part of the gradualism. And like I said, ultimately, there will be a mandatory implant. So we can see them push the chip soon. All right, you got Elon Musk, the head of Neuralink. He's saying that they're looking to mass produce Neuralink brain implants heavily in 2026. So they could bypass this digital ID system mandatorily and have it as an option, get everybody online, and then push the chip. But we'll see. Okay, we'll see. Let's see what else they say here. So it says, I'm confident and this is a quote here, I'm confident that this time next year, the polling will be a much better place on digital ID than it is today. So yeah, so there was a lot of pushback, protests and so forth behind them pushing the digital ID. And that's going to happen too with the chip, because a lot of people know here in the U.S. and abroad, people know that unlike these Israelites out here, but there are people that know, Christians and so forth, they know that the chip is the MOTB. And they're going to push hard behind that too. Push back against it, push hard against it. But the prophecy says that they have to cause everyone to take it. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and just read it. Let me just read the scriptures. Okay, Revelation 13. So the elites are trying to ultimately fulfill the New World Order agenda, but they got to fight to get it. Hey, what did Isaac tell Esau? He said that his blessing would be the fatness of the earth and so forth, but he would have to use his sword to get it. So he's going to have to force people to bow down to his New World Order agenda. That's why we're seeing these uproars and these different events taking place, because people are rising up against these world leaders. And ultimately, they're rising up against the elites behind the scenes, but they're going to try to clamp down on everything when these different crises occur, different events and so forth, to where they're going to bring the solution, which is going to be the mark, the chip. So this is Revelation 13 and 16, and he calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And we know that the one dealing with the forehead, that's the Neuralink. They want to put the mark, which is a digital device, physical digital device, inside your brains. And the key word here, it says causative. So they are going to make it mandatory. Like it says in the back of the second chapter, though it tarry, wait for it. So this is just, really another reason for them to push the chip. As far as them saying that the digital ID in the UK won't be mandatory, well, it's mandatory in other places. But the main place that we're watching for is among the beast, Europe and especially America. Okay? It says, in that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So eventually you're going to need it to work. You're going to need it to purchase items. Set up a business. The digital ID is not the mark, but it's setting up the roadmap for the mark, the infrastructure for the mark. And then you Israelites out there, you're going to see that GMS has always been right. So I think that's it on that. Let's see here. Oh yeah, well, it spoke about okay, hold on, let me read this again. So it says, I'm confident that this time next year the polling will be a much better place on digital ID than it is today. Yeah, so they're gonna try again. Matter of fact, in the UK they was trying to push it with Tony Blair. This was about 15, 20 years ago, when he was the prime minister over the UK. But they didn't push it back then. I think that was around 2010. So then they tried again with this guy, Keir Starmer, and they got pushed back again. But it's only so much that they can do to push this thing back. Listen, the chip has to come. The mark has to come. The digital ID system has to be set up. It says the plan is for right-to-work checks to remain mandatory. Okay. But other forms of evidence will be allowed. This is the case with the current system, in which they can be completed with digital credentials certified under the Digital Identity and Attributes Trust Framework. Official government channels were denying any change to the plan for mandatory right-to-work checks, only with the government-issued National Digital ID as of the publication of this article. So they're still going to push it. And this is as January 13th. So they're still going to roll it out, but they got to work out the kinks. Let's go to the next article here. All right, so this is out of Greece. All right. So still in Europe, it says Greece's new digital ID card mandatory from August for EU travel. This is January 15, 2026. All these recent articles dealing with this digital ID system. It says the issuance of Greece's upgraded national ID card has been underway for several months now, and eventually the card is going to turn into the implant. It says, but there's a plan to make it mandatory for travels within the European Union by August 3rd. So this is a step closer to the MOTB. So that's just the UK, but this is Greece. And both the UK and Greece are a part of the beast system. They're a part of what made up ancient Rome in the past. And this new Rome, this new beast, or I should say the revived Rome, is here now. But they're setting up a digital image. The image of the beast is going digital to lead up to the mark. It says, unlike the old card, the new biometric digital ID is RFID enabled and has been designed with advanced security features and a QR code, according to Greek City Times. So they're setting it up, man. The embedded chip will contain face and fingerprint biometric data of the holder. So all they got to do is embed the chip under your skin instead of a card. It says, and still have a 10-year validity period as one of the novelties. Another is the introduction of the 12-digit unique personal identification numbers, which have since June last year been printed on the cards. Last November, authorities said the automatic assignment of the numbers to citizens has been completed, as was reported. According to Greek officials, the upgrade of the National Digital ID, which now has the shape of a bank card, see, they're tying in your ID, buying and selling, which is banking, together. Because in order for you to buy and sell, you got to be tapped into the bank. In this new digital system, no more cash. It says it is in line with government efforts to comply with the EU standards for digital identity document security. They believe the new cards will make identity verification and authentication easier, secure, and convenient to allow access to a wide spectrum of government and private services for citizens. Right, you will need it in order to buy and sell. All right, and this is in Greece. Okay. Let's go to the next one here. So it says the UNDP launches framework for Arab countries to boost digital inclusion. Small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. They want to include all people into this digital system. So this is amongst the Arabs. Arab states are facing uneven progress in digital transformation. The use of e-government services, for instance, hovered at 45% in 2024. To address this, the United Nations Development Program recently launched a new program with the help of Qatari telecommunication company Ooredoo Group, designed to boost digital infrastructure and economic growth across the region. The three main pillars of the digital policy framework for the Arab states, right, over there in the Middle East. So you got Europe, you got the Middle East. All these regions and countries are setting up for the mark of the beast, which is this digital ID system being set up, which will lead to the chip implant. It says they are expanding digital infrastructure and connectivity, including telecommunications, capturing and aggregating data through digital identity, data sharing, and digital finance. What do you do with your finances? You buy and sell. You set up a business, right? You bank, right? You work, you get paid wages, and you buy and sell. It says, and finally, introducing advanced digital systems that unlock productivity and innovation. And you know that includes AI. So it's happening right under the people's noses. It's not happening under our noses here in GMS because we can see what's going on. Our eyes are open. But you guys in the IUIC, IUPK, HOI, and others, the WFI, Wi-Fi, all you guys are blind. You don't have the eye salve to see what is happening in the earth. Okay? Still dealing with the Middle East. Iraq measures DPI progress. DPI is digital public infrastructure. 90% digital ID uptake, 859 eGov services. And you see them using the biometric, using the fingerprints and so forth. 15 years have passed since the U.S. occupation of Iraq, and the country has been enjoying a period of sustained stability. Yeah, so this proves that when we're seeing this digital ID system go up in the different regions, it's all under the authority of Esau, of Edom, starting with the U.S. All right, this is that woman that on the scarlet-colored beach, she had that cup, right? What's that? Revelation 17. She had that cup, names full of blasphemy and so forth, and her influence goes around the earth. These nations, they're going to find out. Well, they are finding out. That's why they begin to come against this place and look down on the U.S. But America's in control of these changes. It says, in a catch-up with a senior Iraqi politician, the United Nations Development Program examines its border progress as well as its digital transformation and DPI. Internet penetration in Iraq has risen from 44% in 2019 to 83% at the end of 2024. According to Prime Minister Advisor Hassan al-Khatib, all this is paving the way for the country's digital transformation. The mark of the beast will be all over the planet Earth. Okay? Everyone will be tempted to take it, especially us here in the U.S. That's why we're not supposed to lack faith in these times. Okay? Because the hour of temptation will come when you're going to need that biometric implant to go under your skin. This is Biometric chapter 3 and 10. This is Revelation. This is Revelation 3 and 10. Got biometric on the mind. Revelation 3 and 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. And who's speaking here? Look this up in the red letter. This is Yahweh Shai himself. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So no matter where you go, you're not going to be able to leave America or go to this country and I'm going to go to this place and this island and live here. No, you're all these different islands and countries and regions and continents, you're going to need the mark. You want to participate in society and buy and sell and live, pay your bills, have a job, you're going to need the MOTB. And they're setting up the MOTB through this digital ID system. This is just the beginning. This is just the setup, man. All right. This is another country in the Middle East. SEMA digital signature accelerates Azerbaijan's digital transformation. All right, not sure how to pronounce that. I've heard this country. I've seen it before on the map. But even these more obscure, lesser known Middle Eastern countries, for the most part, I mean, if you know, you know. But they're setting up digital ID. Azerbaijan, let me see how you pronounce this. Azerbaijan. Okay. All right. It says is in the midst of a major digital transformation. The government is digitalizing processes and issuing the tools for people and businesses to complete them, while private sector organizations are integrating digital services and new ways for people to complete transactions remotely. The country's biometric digital signature app, SEMA IMSA, is dramatically changing the way numerous day-to-day activities are carried out. And that's what the mark is going to do. The way you interact day-to-day, when you go into a store, when you go into the workplace, when you try to buy things online, you're going to need that chip implant with that digital ID number, attached to this digital system, biometrics and so forth. That's what this is about. It says, by enabling secure online interactions between people, businesses, and government agencies, the country is in the midst of a broader digital transformation with secure digital identity and document verification as a key pillar. So we've been talking about this. We've been talking about this for years. SEMA represents the first biometric digital signature solution in the region with nothing comparable in operation in the surrounding countries. So all these countries are moving forward, going digital. So you can't say that you weren't warned. Okay? This digital ID system will lead to Esau and these countries around the world pushing the RFID NFC chip implant. And if you take it, you're going to be destroyed. All right, the prophets here at GMS, we're warning you. All right, this is another article. Bahrain Financial Services deploy biometric KYC and IDV with new e-key for businesses. National Biometric Digital Identity Service for private sector developed by Bayon Connect with IGA. Bahrain is in the Middle East. I'll read this here. Earlier this week, Islamic Bank Kuwait Finance House, Bahrain, investment company, GFH Financial Group, and trading brokerage CFI Financial announced the successful launch of eKey-B. I guess the B stands for Bahrain. The integration will enable financial services companies to perform customer identity verification and onboarding through Bahrain's national digital identity platform, using facial biometrics and government-validated data. And everything is going to have to be government-validated. And that's just not here in Bahrain. In the Middle East, it's going to be everywhere. The governments around the world are going to set up the mark of the beast. And you're going to need to be a part of the system. You're going to have to be validated and verified through the system. Okay? Now one more here. It says Malaysia, this is in Asia, Malaysia mandates My Digital ID for Malaysians traveling abroad. And see, you notice they're making mandatory digital travel credentials. Digital ID is mandatory for travel. Even here in the U.S., you're going to need to have your digital ID or your real ID, as they set up just last year, to travel domestically and to travel around the world. So this is the beginning of you needing this digital ID system. It says, My Digital ID is getting a core role in Malaysian immigration and a major deployment of the government signature National Digital ID Initiative. From January 15th, Malaysian citizens departing the country will be required to authenticate themselves using My Digital ID when accessing the National Integrated Immigration System mobile application. It's part of the country's strategy to implement My Digital ID across governance, society, and economy. The government plans to have 95% of public services integrated into the digital ID system by 2030. Some countries say 2029, along with private sector services. And I can see the chip, the MOTB, being pushed within these 4 years. All right, the next 2 to 3 years. Because of how many different countries and regions around the world are setting up this digital ID system. We're close. All we have to do now is just continue to watch, continue to pray, continue to teach, continue to be diligent. Keep the faith, man. It says already telecommunications operators are being shifted to My Digital ID's identity verification technology for their mobile applications. They're already making the big shift, the big jump to digital ID. Officials said My Digital ID will simplify user access by replacing the need to remember multiple passwords with a single login across government services. Malaysians age 8, and they're going to do the same thing over here in the U.S. Everything will be streamlined for convenience. Get the digital ID. It's coming. Like Apostle Hart said, the digital ID will be a requirement. You get the digital ID, but you don't take the chip. The digital ID is not the mark. The chip is the mark. This is just a system before the mark, before it's introduced. All right, like I said earlier, gradualism, this is the roadmap. This is the pathway to the MOTB. So it says Malaysians age 18 and above are encouraged to download and register for the digital ID in advance. The app is available on the Apple App Store, Google Play, and Huawei App Gallery. So it's just a matter of time, man. And you can see all these major smart device companies, Google, Apple, so forth, they're in on it. because they stand to gain a lot of money. And listen, there's trillions of dollars uh, are going to be pushed into this MOTB system. I believe they said by the early 2030s. So, this is just an update. The MOTB is coming soon, starting with the digital ID system being set up all over the world. As I said just a moment ago, continue to watch, continue to pray. I hope you were edified. Peace. Shalom.